another episode of Way Back Wrestling Mania. As always, I'm your host, Adam. And with me is my co-host and tag team partner for this show, Donnie, the Emerald Enthusiast. Donnie?
What's up, WWE fans? It's the man whose ring runs on fanboy energy, the podcasting machine, the almighty nerd in green. It is the Emerald Enthusiast.
Awesome.
Welcome to the show.
Yes, indeed. We are here to talk the most recent, as I like to call it, I don't care what WWE calls it, stream per-view, because it's on Peacock, not pay-per-view. Hell in a Cell, or as I like to call it, just another day on Twitter. But no, Hell in a Cell was the pay-per-view, and that's what we're going to discuss today. So, Donnie, why don't you get us going with the first match?
Okay, well, the show opened up with this slick, unsettling opening with, the woman talking into the microphone.
Yeah.
I actually thought that was very stylistic. I appreciated
very
that.
Very clever.
Yeah. Very, very artistic. I like it.
You know what was funny, though? When she said, "You know who I am?" I'm like, I have no idea who you are.
Yeah, I think she was saying that she was like some emissary of the devil, if not the devil himself.
Okay.
So, yeah. Anyway, but...
See, that's when you bring back The Undertaker for a voiceover.
You got a point there.
I digress.
Yes. Okay, so the opening match, Bayley versus Bianca Belair. And I know that you're not a fan of Bayley, but I've got to say this. For the year 2021, she is the perfect heel because she has tapped into Karen energy. Okay? You look at her and you know she wants to talk to the manager. She's going to go nuclear over the store mask policy. And she wants to know if you belong in this neighborhood. Okay?
That's actually a very good good analogy.
Yeah. So the story here with this match is that Bayley has the experience over the new champ who is, kind of physically superior, but she doesn't have the experience.
Mm.
And early on, the spot that I really appreciated was Bayley wielding the chair and Bianca using her braid to fight off the chair. I had never seen that before.
They're getting very creative with the hair, with the braid.
She knows what she's doing, I gotta say.
Like when she was wielding it around, I'm like, she's kind of like Zorro with his sword,
Yeah.
Just,
And you know what? I'm buying it because when she gets that thing going and you hear it starting to whistle, I'm intimidated. Hey,
now, Donnie, as a person who likes to have his hair with the Lex Luthor look,
okay,
right? Do you ever get, when you see her flailing her hair around like that, is there ever any envy on your part?
I never had hair that long.
Oh, okay.
But you know what? I did have hair very long at one point. Yeah, I kind of miss it some days.
Well, imagine if you're on the street and somebody pisses you off, and you had that hair. You could just if they're in your way, imagine it like a Costco.
Yeah.
When everybody's getting ruly and untethered.
Yeah.
And and people are walking in your way, not looking where they're going. Imagine you had that braid and just bang, a nice whip across the back. That'd be great.
Exactly. So yeah, like I said, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
So early on, we saw that Bayley worked on Bianca's left arm, and Bianca did a really good job at selling. I've got to say that's another strength of hers as a wrestler is that she's sells.
Really good.
Yeah, she sells very well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So Bayley used a variety of heel tactics, including biting Bianca.
Yeah, that's a little bit borderline given the times we're living in. But
yeah. I mean, a little risky. Yeah. Also using multiple kendo sticks.
Yeah.
Like the kendo sticks taped together. I thought that was really creative, too.
We have those at karate where I go. We train with those.
Yeah.
And I always have, not that I'm violent or anything, but, there are some people that I can visualize and just take a kendo stick to.
Right. Yeah.
Mainly 99% of the people with a certain hashtag associated with their Twitter profiles, but I digress.
Yes. Well. Yeah, it's probably a good thing you don't have that under that scenario. If you could actually take action, it might be problematic.
Listen, if I could go and do a wrestling move on everybody that pisses me off on Twitter,
yeah,
I'd be having a field day.
So there was a certain hashtag last week, and I wanted to hit a bonsai drop on a bunch of people, but I digress. Yes. Anyway,
talking about Taco Tuesday again, there, Donnie.
Yeah, let's not go there. Not go there. Anyway, so the EST, she turned the tables by slamming Bayley through the kendo sticks that were positioned between like the ring and the cell, which I thought that was a really creative spot too.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Just like the things these two women did were insane, and like that match, the Hell in a Cell match in and of itself. As a performer, if you come out of there relatively unscathed, right? Like, if you come out of there and nothing's broken, that's a win.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, the two Hell in a Cell matches were very violent, and obviously I think all performers earned their paychecks that night. So
I think those 4 performers should have got a little extra too.
Yeah.
That's me.
Well, and we'll talk later on. If you saw Drew McIntyre's back, you know that they all worked hard.
Yeah.
So later on, we talk about the braid. Later on, Bianca, she actually made a strap match of sorts by tying it around Bayley's wrist.
Well, Bayley tried to tie her first.
Right.
Tie it against the rope. And then it was, turnabout's fair play where Bianca was able to use it. You're right.
Yeah. I recently watched Uncensored 95 with the strap match between Hogan and Vader that was not very good. This was a strap match without a strap that I thought was actually better. So yeah. So there was a creative spot near the end where Bayley reversed a roll up, and she actually reached over the ropes to try to gain a little bit more leverage, and I thought that was really creative too. But again, Bianca did not go down; she kicked out. So.
Yeah, she has a lot of, I love how, it takes a skilled performer. I mean, obviously the referee's got to play his part too, but it takes a skilled performer to time the kick out as close to a 3 count as possible. And several times it's like, okay, it's going to be 3, and then no.
Yeah. Bianca wrestles more like a veteran than she actually is. Believe me, I would have not liked the match if the outcome was Bayley reclaiming the title. I'm going to be honest. I never really felt like Bayley was a threat as much as giving Bianca an unlikable heel to get her over.
Yeah,
that's
it's
the way
like
I feel
how they
about
used to do with Hulk Hogan. They used to always put the worst of the worst in terms of villainry with him. So he would be the.
Somebody that it's easy
superhero.
It's easy to dislike. And again, and this is actually a compliment to Bayley. She's pulling off this like Karen persona.
Oh yeah, that's look. To me, I haven't really cared for any of her, promo. I think her promos are a little, beforehand, a little boring, a little stale. And the other versions of the character, the hugger, I didn't care for. Or when she was tagging with Sasha, I didn't care for that. So, like, her as a performer is great, and I do think this particular role suits her. So she is doing well with it. Even though she's not my favorite, she's one of my least favorites. She is doing well with the role, so I give her that.
Yeah. So after they brought the ladder into play, Bianca hits a senton, and then the KOD on the ladder to pick up the win.
That was insane. Did you see how bent that ladder was?
Yes, indeed. That had to hurt.
I mean, I'm assuming that ladder already has some give in it, but still.
Neither one of these ladies, you cannot say that they worked tough in this match. So,
anybody that says wrestling's fake, go ask them how they feel after the match.
In the end, the EST prevails over the Mega Karen. So,
yeah. I like the match. I like the violence. I like the the story they were telling within the match. Overcoming the supreme, the bully, this and that.
Yeah, I thought it was a fitting way to kick off the pay-per-view.
Absolutely, it was a great match to start for sure. Right. And the finishing maneuver on the ladder was my spot of the match. Easy.
Yeah. So, what would you rate this match, sir?
I'm going to give it a 4.5. I know it's tough to start so high, but it was so good.
No, I'm right there with you. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was great. This was actually another really strong effort, top to bottom, from WWE.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So next up, we have the continuation of the feud: Seth Rollins versus Cesaro, and jumpstart to the match with Rollins immediately attacking Cesaro on the ramp. Now that's actually what I tend to do if I see somebody and they get the last Green Lantern figure in the retail store. Immediately
Somebody's got to take a video of you toy hunting for Green Lantern stuff. I got to pay to see that.
Well, I may do that at some point. I would never actually do that. Believe it or not, I've had people have this conversation with me online before that they've said they've actually gotten into fights over figures. All right,
Donnie, I've told you off air, I saw two older ladies where I used to work a long time ago get into a fight over the last piece of cheese.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a slapping match.
Yeah.
I was quite entertained, but stupid. But now my question is, when you're hunting for Green Lantern figures,
yes,
if you're at a store and let's say they, because sometimes they put things in different areas.
Yes.
What would happen if you go to one of the Walmart associates
mm-hmm.
and their name badge says Martha on it?
Huh? I would say, why do you have that name tag?
I just have to do it.
You set that up, I know it.
Oh, God.
And then
I get on the DC show and I had to do that.
Then I would ask them to go in the back and check for Green Lantern figures.
Yeah, all right, okay.
So in this match, speaking of DC characters, the Swiss Superman, he spent the early minutes throwing uppercuts and bouncing Seth Rollins around the ring with his power. So later on, we saw Rollins hit Cesaro with a beautiful move, in my opinion. The springboard knee it was definitely on point, and he focused on injuring Cesaro's eye.
He's got an eye fetish, that guy, I got to tell you.
Yeah.
There's something going on there.
Maybe he's channeling Kane from See No Evil back in the day.
Yeah. Good point.
So Rollins hit a Pele kick and a forearm to the back of Cesaro's skull, tried for the pin. That wasn't enough. There was a flurry of false finishes here as Rollins tried to put Cesaro away, but he couldn't.
It's funny that you mentioned the Pele kick because, what is it, Pat McAfee, the commentator there?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
He made a comment about the Euros, which I thought was pretty funny.
Right.
Given Cesaro's Swiss background, I thought that was appropriate. I'm like, oh, good call. So
Cesaro, again, he survives. He puts Rollins in the swing. Then he locks in the sharpshooter.
Right.
Now Rollins survives and hits a gorgeous roll-up for the win. It just really came out of nowhere because it looked like, Cesaro put him in the sharpshooter more than once, and you thought that Rollins was going to wear out, but he didn't. It was a really tight roll-up, and I really appreciated that.
I was shocked that Rollins got the win because I thought they were going to continue the Cesaro dominance. But my thing is, as good as the match, like these two performers were great. It was a great match. But how long is this rivalry going to continue? To me, it would be a missed opportunity if Cesaro doesn't get into some sort of title picture.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's over. So maybe there will be a title put on one of these guys in the near future.
Like I would either put, again, I think Cesaro is in his wheelhouse when I think he'd be the perfect Intercontinental Champion, personally.
Yeah. So
I would contend either you have him take it off of Bizarro Black Panther there. What's his name?
Apollo.
Yeah. Well, and the reason I say Black Panther is because they're kind of aping the Black Panther story, but just he's a villain.
Right.
Right. I see Cesaro excelling as an Intercontinental Champion. So what I would do is I'd kind of say put it on Rollins and then have eventually Cesaro win it.
Mm-hmm.
But I doubt that they're going to, because Apollo, who's a great performer, and I think he could remain, Intercontinental Champion for quite some time if they wanted to. Like I'm not saying, I don't like the guy take the title off him. I'm just saying Cesaro's more than proven that A, he's over with the fans, and B, he's capable of carrying a title. So,
and he's obviously not going to beat Roman. So
right, but I don't. So even though I prefer, Rollins takes it off of Apollo, and then Cesaro beats
Rollins. Yeah.
That would be my preferred scenario, but because you'd have two villains going for the title, I kind of see them eventually having Cesaro take it off him, and then keeping the feud going for the Intercontinental title between Rollins and Rollins. Sure. I think that's how I see it, because I don't see them going Roman versus Rollins unless there's a change in.
I definitely don't see them doing heel versus heel at this point. Not for that.
I mean, that'd be a match I'd want to see given their past together. Roman and Rollins. But one of them would have to change perspective. Right.
So, speaking of Rollins, though, nobody makes crazy faces like Rollins, and he did a lot of that after the match.
Good. Yeah, he's good.
So, I'm going to give this match a 4 out of 5 as well. Again,
4.
Yeah. So next up, we have the Queen of Spades, Shayna Baszler, who seems really annoyed with both Nia and Reginald at this point.
Versus both of them too.
Yeah. Versus the Black Lantern Alexa Bliss.
Listen, she's got to do I don't know how they're going to do it, but they got to give her a ring attire during this crazy phase with Black Lantern stuff going on.
Right.
Because
So that's not her actual nickname. If you've never read the story Blackest Night from DC Comics, that's what I'm referencing. So,
yeah, right.
Yeah. So I noticed that Alexa, she's doing a lot of like quick, jerky, backwards movements to kind of sell this like, undead, paranormal persona that she's got going on. So I'll say this too. I've always felt this way. She may not be, the biggest or the strongest or even the fastest. I really think she's a genius when it comes to getting herself over. She's done many personas now. She changes the way she works, and I think she is one of the most consistent entertainers WWE has had in about a decade.
Yeah, you know me. I'm going to fully agree with that.
And you've got something to say about her, I know.
I do. Look, Donnie, I'm very concerned about myself because by all accounts, she should freak me out. Yeah. And she does. She's doing a great job with this undead, possessed, whatever you want to call it, craziness. And yet, as freaked out as that kind of makes me, especially when the doll's in play, I'm still very attracted by all this. I don't know if I should book an appointment with a psychiatrist. I mean, many will say I should for other reasons, but for this specific reason is what I'm getting at. But no, I really like the crazy exorcist-esque crawl that she does, like when she's crawling around.
Yes.
That was kind of cool. And I love the fact that, and this takes skill on Nia's part as well. When it looked like she was controlling Nia.
Yes.
And to slap Reginald, like Alexa's in the ring, it does a slap, and then Thing does it. Nia does it. That was cool. That was really cool.
I was just getting ready to say. So Baszler starts off the match by throwing some roundhouses and some stomps. Alexa just laughs.
Yeah.
And Baszler, she uses a variety of joint manipulation holds on Alexa, but Alexa eventually puts the Gorilla Grodd mind control on her.
Yeah.
Gets her to break that. Then she looks at Nia outside the ring, and that's when she does the spot that you're talking about when she gets her to slap Reginald. So, I don't know. I think I see this leading to maybe a partnership between Alexa and Nia again, because we know they're friends outside of the ring.
Oh, they are. Yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
The part where that got me was when Nia was doing all that twisting of Alexa's wrist. And I'm like, listen, don't hurt my Earth. I'm not gonna say what Earth it is, wife, because that's a reveal for later in the year, SummerSlam. But I said, don't hurt her in real life. But when she does the stomp on the hand and Alexa just looks at her and laughs at her, and then gets up, I thought that was pretty. Like this persona that Alexa's doing, I call it. It's a cross between the Undertaker circa his Ministry of Darkness days, mixed with Harley Quinn.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Again,
so Baszler tries to lock in the Kirifuda clutch, but Bliss turns it into a modified version of Sister Abigail, and then she hits the Twisted Bliss for the win.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a great move. And to do that off the top rope takes, a set of which to my knowledge Alexa doesn't have. But
metaphorically.
Metaphorically, it
Right.
takes that. And it just like you got to give it to the ladies in this profession, because the crap they're doing and putting their bodies on the line, I wouldn't do half of that stuff. I wouldn't get on those top rope. Are you kidding? Mm-hmm. I climb up the stairs and it's an adventure. These guys are,
Bottom line is these are elite professionals. These are the best of the best when it comes to this type of physical storytelling. So,
But but again, like you said about Alexa, she, in terms of as a performer, she's one of the best I've seen. And not just because she's one of my Multiverse wives, but just in general.
Yeah.
And of course, being a Multiverse husband, I will say my favorite persona is the goddess persona, but
Right. Well, and that's what I'm saying though, is that she hasn't just worked in one persona and in one era for WWE. She's reinvented herself several times. So.
Kind of like the Undertaker did. I'm not comparing her to the Undertaker, but it's a similar kind of deal where it's a variation of the persona, but it's different enough to keep. Now, my question is, when and who do you think will snap her out of this possession scenario?
I don't know. I think next is going to be her possibly teaming up with Nia Jax and infecting Nia Jax as opposed to her being snapped out of it.
Right, but do you think eventually it'll be Nikki that snaps her out?
It could be. That would make sense, yes.
But yeah, interesting. But either way, really, really interesting story. The way they're making it again. To make this dull, a creepy thing like this to make it work, it takes talent.
Yeah.
And I think what Alexa is doing, she's doing a better job at selling this kind of storyline than Bray Wyatt has. Mm. I'm more engaged by what she's doing than when Bray was doing it.
Okay.
And partly that's because WWE had him, job to Goldberg and people like that.
Right.
That didn't help his character.
Well, and that's always my problem with Bray Wyatt. It's not Bray himself, who I think is also a genius in many ways, but whenever he's gotten momentum, WWE has halted that momentum. So.
Right. And to me, what I would have done with Bray is, I know this was years after the fact. But I would have, if you really want to put Bray over, right, as the Fiend, that's the kind of character that should have ended the Undertaker streak, not Brock Lesnar.
Oh, yeah, sure. So, what would you rate this match?
I'd give it a 4.
Okay. I'm going to give it a 3 of 5, not because it was bad at all, but it was more story than match. We saw a lot of, again, her putting, the Gorilla Grodd abilities on.
I do give extra credit to Shayna, though, for putting those holds on, making them believable and not hurting anybody at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas if it was Ronda Rousey, Alexa probably would have had a broken arm.
Yeah. So next up we have Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn, who is channeling all these conspiracy theorists, whom you see right here on YouTube.
He's like an anti-vaxxer, but
and many, many. YouTube can be a frightening place. So
it's disturbing. It's
Except right here on the Multiverse.
Yeah, we're kind of normal. except for my Multiverse wife, Penn pin trick.
Right.
But yeah.
So the story here, and I got to say, I really like this too. Kevin Owens is having respiratory problems because he took 2 Nigerian nails from Commander Aziz on SmackDown. And I really like that because a lot of times I feel like on the pay-per-views, sometimes things that happen on the shows are completely forgotten about.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
And so Kevin Owens comes in and he's coughing and he's clutching at his throat because he took 2 Nigerian nails from a giant. That makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I felt a little bit uncomfortable for Sammy, given the I know it was a manufactured cough.
Right.
But there's still, air being expelled in Sammy's direction.
Right.
Hopefully everybody's, been vaccinated or tested or whatever.
Let's hope they stay safe.
That was a little bit like, is this a good idea? Like, I get it. It's cool that they're carrying over the storyline that he's injured. But is this really a good idea right now?
Yeah. It's amazing how much the pandemic has changed our perspective because now
everything's like, wait a minute, should you be doing that? Like,
should you be doing that? Let's weigh the pros and cons here. So at one point, Kevin Owens was on the floor, and we see Zayn. He launches himself over the ropes, and he hits Owens, and Owens goes down hard on his wrist, his left wrist. And so now he has problems breathing, and he has problems with his left arm. Yeah. Like, he can't use his left arm anymore. Yeah. So that furthered the story as to what was going on here.
Yeah, no, again, and he sold the injuries, the ailments great.
Mm-hmm. So Kevin Owens, he fights back valiantly at several points, and you see the story being put forth that here's 2 former friends, and they're exchanging nasty blows and cheap shots because this is personal.
Yeah.
So at one point, Owens hits the stunner outside the ring, and Sami Zayn almost gets counted out. I mean, he waited until the last split second.
Again, that takes so much, cooperation of the ref who's going to slow the count enough that, But the timing has to be spot on, even still, right?
Yeah.
Because the ref can't go, 9,
yeah,
9 and a half, hurry up and get in the ring and a half. There's going to be,
It can't be like Hulk Hogan on NBC that one time with give me a countdown or something. I don't know if you remember that on Saturday Night's Main Event.
No, I gotta look that up.
Oh, we'll talk about that after the broadcast here.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sami Zayn hits a knee on Kevin Owens, who then lands throat first on the bottom rope, which further exacerbates his breathing problems from a storyline perspective.
Right.
And Sami Zayn hits the haluva kick for the pin.
Yeah.
So I liked how old school and brutal this was. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5.
All right. I like the match. I like how they sold. Mm-hmm. Kevin sold the injuries. Like you said, the cheap shots because they're best friends and their frayed relationship.
Yeah.
All that was great.
Yeah.
But I have one bias against this match.
And that would be what?
So my rating is going to reflect that. So I just forewarning everybody.
Okay.
That my rating is going to be lower, and it's because of a bias. So I'm being 100% transparent.
Okay, yeah, there you go. So
Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are both French-Canadian from Quebec, and their favorite hockey team is the Montreal Canadiens, and I just can't accept that. So it dampened the match a little bit for me.
Yes.
And so that's why my rating is a 3.5.
I fault you not, sir.
And 2.5 of that is because they're Montreal Canadian fans. So.
So again, I like that feud. It seems like it's going to continue. So yeah. So next up we have Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's Championship. Interesting, a heel versus heel dynamic here.
But is she really a heel though? I mean, Rhea.
Well, Rhea was definitely the heel when she was feuding with Asuka. So,
I guess.
Yeah. And she definitely got booed. So there was nobody that was being cheered in this match, even though it was a good match.
Yeah, it's like I get. It seems to me like I don't know how much hate is just character-wise, or because people don't want to see Charlotte in the title picture? Like, I don't know which is the percentage. And like I said last time we did WWE, they're gonna have her break her father's record. It's a foregone conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Before she retires, they're gonna have her break her father's record.
Right.
So I think as fans, we should just realize that, let it happen, and move on.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I actually like Charlotte Flair because I think she brings out the best in her opponents. Yeah.
So do I. She's talented. She's like her in-ring work.
In my opinion, has gotten progressively better.
Right, but I think she's the best female performer in terms of work rate.
You know what? That I would probably agree with that. I don't think anybody quite has the body of work that she does at this point. Any female performers, anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. And Rhea, like, she's getting there. I like her as a character.
Yeah. And again, she looks really strong. Everything she does looks believable. So
yeah. You know, both of these. Let's be honest. Both of these women could hurt me. So I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna disparage either one of them. I will say, on a positive note, just before we get on with the match.
Sure.
Both Charlotte Flair. Hang on, let me get to it right. And Rhea Ripley are on the list.
There you go. The Omniverse Wives list, because we've opened it up now. Omniverse.
Oh yeah, no, it had to get bigger by default.
Right.
just one universe. A multiverse could not contain the amount of wives I have.
So this match starts. Charlotte uses heel tactics early. She assaults Rhea with the belt. She goes for a quick win with the roll-up. She's really tenacious with going for pins often, and then she works on Rhea's left knee. Now, Rhea hit a headbutt with a super kick, but Charlotte locked Rhea in an ankle lock between the ropes, and I really appreciated that spot.
That was good. That was good. And almost like it looked like she was going to put her in like the figure 4 on the ropes, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a modified figure 4. I dug that.
Yeah. So Rhea almost scores the pin when she catches Charlotte while Charlotte was climbing the ropes, and she hit a top rope superplex, which I was impressed by that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's like I said, just the athleticism. And I think what really excels about both of these women is that they can do the high-flying stuff and the groundwork.
Yeah. I would agree.
And neither looks out of place. Like they both look like they,
So eventually Rhea hits the riptide, but she's too close to the ropes, and Charlotte puts her foot on the rope, so Rhea does not score the pin.
Very clever, very clever.
Yeah. So Charlotte eventually hooks Rhea in the figure 4. Rhea is able to pull herself out of the ring, and she uses the top of the announce table to batter Charlotte with it and cause the DQ.
So, in translation, this feud is going to continue.
Exactly. So what did you think of this match, sir?
I really like that. Like I said, the balance between, high-flying stuff, mat work. Both who were very, very. There were spots where both were very keen to their position in the ring. Charlotte with putting the foot in the rope, and Rhea using, falling to the outside to get free of the hold, right? So
they worked very well together.
But the spot that you mentioned earlier, the off the top rope, that was the spot of the match for me.
Yeah.
And again, I like that it was a DQ because it keeps both of them strong.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think this feud is going to continue all the way till SummerSlam.
Oh, I would agree. Yeah.
And that's when there's going to be a title change.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, because you're right, there were some villainous things that Rhea did in this match, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So is there going to be one that makes a full turn? Like, is Charlotte going to eventually turn? Because she's been a heel for a while, Charlotte.
I feel like Charlotte, that I would say Rhea is more likely to have a babyface turn than Charlotte. So, yeah.
But wasn't she the babyface in NXT?
I don't remember at this point.
Like when her and Charlotte fought the first time at a WrestleMania for the NXT title.
Right.
She was the babyface in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, just seems like Charlotte's been the heel longer.
Mm-hmm. But I think she's more natural at it. So,
yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah. So what would you rate this match, sir?
I'm going to give it a solid 4.
I'm going to give it a 4 as well. It had the makings of a 4.5 or maybe a 5. I liked the DQ ending. I did not like how it was executed with the top of the announce table, because I've seen, first of all, it didn't really look like it hurt. And I've seen the referees in the past let a lot more go on the outside and say, just get back in the ring.
Yeah.
So it didn't hit me as something that would automatically call.
She should have brought her back in the ring and got a chair or something.
Yeah. You know, where you have the referee, or you have the referee on the outside, you know, saying multiple times, get back in the ring or it's over. And she pushes them away and keeps going. Yeah. That one quick little thing to me didn't seem like it conveyed the message they wanted to convey.
Yeah, exactly.
So, next up, the big clash, the Hell in a Cell, Drew McIntyre versus the almighty Bobby Lashley for the WWE Championship.
What a crazy match.
Indeed.
Like, these two guys destroyed themselves.
Mm-hmm. I've got to say this before we start talking about the moves themselves. The opening imagery here, the two of them standing motionless, both of them just enormous guys, standing there motionless, face to face, that told the story right there. And then Lashley raising one finger and saying, this is it, one more chance. Yeah. So much great storytelling right there with, minimal effort, but they did it well.
Yeah, agreed. They look like, both of those guys, when I look at those two guys like staring down each other, I'm like, this looks like a scene from like the 300 movie.
Yeah, that's a good point.
When is one of them going to say this is Sparta and kick the other one in the chest?
Well, they did several things that looked along those lines, I'll say that.
Yeah.
So Drew takes the fight right to the floor. They trade spots using the cell and the steps and the ring post. And like you say, a lot of this stuff looked like it hurt. So eventually Drew gets the kendo stick from underneath the ring. He pulls out a table and sets it up, but MVP gave Lashley his cane through the chain link. And Lashley uses that to strike McIntyre in the throat.
See, MVP knows what a cane is used for. Having one myself to actually walk with. Listen, if I need to use the cane, I've been trained in karate how to wield the cane to maximum effect.
Yeah.
I could be Daredevil if I wanted to. Which I kind of want to.
Now, see, I want you to take a video of that if you ever decide to do that.
All right, if I go out, but I don't know if I could do the red outfit, Donnie, because again, I'm a Leaf fan. The Montreal Canadiens. Can Daredevil be blue? Because if that's the case, then I'll wear a dark blue, outfit, and then I can't say Blue Devil because that's a DC character.
That's something totally different.
I get sued by DC instead of Marvel, but no. If I ever do that, if I ever go out at night beating people up with my cane, I'll definitely record that and send it over.
All right, fair enough.
Post it right on this channel.
Right here on the Multiverse Musings vidcast, right here on YouTube.
There it is. Who can do a better plug than that? Who can do a better setup?
Nobody.
Mitch Palmer and Austin Matthews could learn a thing or two from us.
Well, thank you. So we get several minutes of really painful looking spots on the floor. McIntyre took Lashley back in the ring with 3 chairs in tow. Drew tried to come off the top rope at one point. Lashley caught him, nearly applied the hurt lock, and we finally saw some big impact moves in the ring.
Yeah.
There was a lot more outside the ring than inside the ring in this match. So, now my favorite spot of this whole thing, and I got to say really creative, got to go back to MVP here, using the kendo stick to trap McIntyre in the corner of the cell.
Yeah.
And then Lashley unloads on him. I thought that was a stroke of genius, too.
It was. But I liked the it was kind of like a belly-to-belly against the cage on the outside.
Oh, yeah.
That was with a table there, too.
Mm-hmm.
There was that one. And then when Lashley threw him outside onto the table.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that near the end here. Yeah. So Lashley brings the kendo stick back into the ring, and then McIntyre has his Hulk Hogan moment where he no-sells the kendo stick and then catches it. And I thought that was a really good visual for this point in the match.
Yeah.
So the referee eventually gets KO'd by the action. Drew hits the Future Shock DDT, but there's no one there to count.
Yeah.
So McIntyre, he also hits the Claymore, but MVP had slipped. He had slipped inside when the second referee tried to make the count, but he was also locked into the Hell in the Cell at this point. And I really loved that comedic moment when MVP tries to get out and he realizes that he can't get out, and he turns around and there's McIntyre. MVP's a great actor. So
Oh, absolutely. Oh, he's great.
Yeah. And he caught a Claymore for his trouble. So
And I love seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about seeing the manager get beat up that I enjoy.
I really wanted to see it on Raw a couple of weeks ago when he told Kofi Kingston that he was shucking and jiving. I was like, oh no, he didn't. No, he did not.
I knew that was going to bother you.
Oh.
When I heard it, I'm like, oh, Donnie's not going to like that one.
Oh, no. How dare you insult Kofi Kingston? So, anyway, Lashley locks in the Hurt Lock. McIntyre backs them both through the table in desperation. They go through the table. That was an amazing spot.
Yeah. Oh, it was great. I loved it.
Yeah. So back in the ring, Drew gives Bobby some chair shots, goes for the Claymore again, but this time Lashley ducks out of the way. And then the spot that you were talking about, Lashley grabs McIntyre in a choke slam from the apron through the table onto the floor. And that was a thunderous spot.
That was insane.
Yeah. So McIntyre, he mounts another comeback, but when he goes for the Claymore, this time MVP, again, remember, who was locked in the cell, grabs his leg and gives Lashley time for the roll-up pin. So what did you think of all that?
Well, I mean, it's a way that Drew can lose and still look strong.
Yeah.
My question is, why, with this stipulation in play, why is that a thing now? Does Drew have to take some time off for some reason?
Well, I'll say this. I'm a little surprised. If you think about the ending of WrestleMania in 2020, last year, who comes out of that? Braun Strowman, who they just released, and now Drew McIntyre, who they're seemingly, I don't know, are they going to shove him down the card a little bit? Is he going to take a break? I'm not exactly sure.
That's why I'm curious. No, because think about it. I like that they're setting up this Kofi,
Lashley, yes.
I'd love to see Kofi take it from him.
Obviously, I would. So
I don't know if that's going to happen at Money in the Bank, or could they have a couple of matches that leads to SummerSlam?
Yeah, it could. I mean, obviously, I'm rooting for Kofi. As much as I think Bobby Lashley's reign has been...
Well, it's been good. It's been good.
It's been good, and it's been a breath of fresh air despite the fact that he's 42.
Right. But just imagine why I'm saying I think they'll have a couple, because what are we? Going to be 2 months?
Till SummerSlam?
After the next pay-per-view, it's going to be 1 month before. Money in the Bank is when? In July?
Money in the Bank is July the 18th, I believe.
So it's the last pay-per-view before.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So I think they're going to have a match. There's going to be a botched finish where MVP interferes or something. And then Kofi's going to ask for a rematch. And I think Kofi would take it at SummerSlam. That's the way I would book it.
I will be very excited if that happens.
I think people want to see Kofi with one more run.
Well, Kofi never got his rematch. He's
Yeah, and talk about getting screwed.
Yeah.
Not Bret Hart style, but nonetheless, having the job for Brock Lesnar the way he did, I think he's owed another run.
Yeah.
And I think the pop for that at SummerSlam would be great in front of a crowd. Also, the other thing too would be, I'd love to see him win because he's got great ring attire sense to wear the Green Ranger outfit to the ring. Anybody that wears that deserves a championship.
Well, obviously, I like the color green, so.
Yeah. And I like both of you, but before I liked the Green Lantern, the Green Power Ranger was my guy, even though he on the show was dating one of my multiverse wives, which I wasn't too happy about. But
that's a conversation for another day.
Exactly.
So, anyway, what would you rate this match, sir?
I'm going to give it a 4.5.
I'm going to give it a 4.5 as well. I thought they could have maybe have done a little more in the ring, and the ending, it was fitting for the story they were trying to tell. But I would have liked
more in-ring work and a clean finish. It would have been a 5.
Yeah, it would have been a 5. It was very close to being a 5 anyway. They both worked their butts off, and like I said, if you saw Drew McIntyre's back after the match, you'll never be able to say that pro wrestlers don't earn their paycheck and that they're not tough individuals if you see a picture of his back after that match.
Let's see Floyd Mayweather get thrown through a table and see how he copes.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Boxers, UFC people, they're all they take real punches.
Sure.
I'm not disputing their toughness, but people act like professional wrestlers are just, it's all predetermined. They don't get hurt. Yeah, like I said, take another athlete and throw them through a table and see how they, if they can.
What we saw was basically stunt work in real time. It was amazing.
Can they? My thing is, can those athletes take those shots and then come back and do it again the next night? That's the difference.
Yeah. Whereas
boxers have, sometimes months before their next match.
Yeah.
UFC fighters months before their next match.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why we see a lot of pro wrestlers who don't live long lives, unfortunately, because of the schedule and what they do to their bodies in the name of entertainment. So I think you have to respect that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, well, that will bring our Hell in a Cell coverage to a close.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed it. We're loving going through these through the major events of both WWE and AEW, and we'll continue to do that. And then if news breaks about a wrestler signing and things of that nature, we'll talk about it as well as it comes about. So next for us will be, in terms of what we're covering, will probably be Money in the Bank, because I don't think AEW has a pay-per-view before Money in the Bank, correct?
No, they don't have a pay-per-view till September.
Right. So it'll be Money in the Bank and then SummerSlam and then AEW's next pay-per-view. So that's on the schedule. But if you want to talk wrestling with us between now and then, you can. So Donnie, where do they find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter as the Emerald Enthusiast. Let's talk pro wrestling. Let's talk comics. Let's talk collectibles. Let's talk Green Lantern.
Awesome. And if you want to talk to me on social media, it's at Adam_LeafsFan on Twitter. We also have the Podcast Network account, which is at MMNPDC. And we have the Facebook group, which is listed somewhere below in the description. Click it, ask for permission to join the group, and I'll add you. But until next time, remember that WWE Hell in a Cell is forever. from the first time Bianca Belair uses her hair as a weapon to the last. So long, everybody.
So long, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe.
We are Tyrants.